We'll get started. You ready? So I wanted to have these for me as much as I have for you guys, okay? Think of the agent mastery as more of like an accountability of doing the small stuff right, okay? If you don't do the small stuff right, everybody wants like a nice, beautiful home, right? But when you do that, you have to build 1 2x4 at a time. You got to make sure you put that foundation right. You got to make sure you follow each simple step. It's a little bit on the grueling side. At the end of the day, you have a really nice project. So I wanted to go over some of the follow-up boss stuff, and I also wanted to go over some of the tips and tricks that I use, because the way that I would think about it is this, is if it's simple and it's quick, it's duplicatable. The more complex, the slower it is for you to implement, the harder it is for you to duplicate. So if you look at it like you're trying to get escrows, right? How many escrows do you guys want to close per month? Like, let's say bottom funnel, how many of you guys do you want to close per month? This is a goal. 5? Cool, 5?
I'd like to get to 10.
10? Okay, I love that. Okay, 5 to 10, okay? So if your goal is 5 to 10, okay, that's 1 to 2 a week, right? And then one week you got to be a rock star and you got to do one more, right? So what I would do is I would always start the month out and I would know like, okay, I got a lot, I got some heavy lifting, right? So I want to stack my week to close 2, 3 or get escrows 2, 3, so that by the end of the month, like my pipeline is kind of looking like I'm going to hit my numbers. And then I know that 20% is going to spill over to the next month. So if my goal is 5 to 10, I should always have 5 to 10 rolling, okay? And then 5 to 10 closing, okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. So now when you set it like that, doesn't it become a little bit easier that you're just really managing 5 to 10 people at a time in terms of escrows, okay? But then you know you have quite a bit more of an overtaking, or an undertaking, I should say, on what it takes to get there, right? So I want to kind of talk about both, right? And don't lose me in the sense that pick whatever you gravitate to most, okay? We're only going to do 2 things. Work on whatever your weaknesses are and do them a little bit better, right? Or lean into some of your strengths, right? So I wouldn't take these trainings as something where you have to like take everything like literally or to heart. I would take them to say, okay, if no matter where I'm at in life, whether I'm 10 years in my career, whether I'm just starting out in my first or second year, what can I do today to become 1% better? Just 1% better, okay? Over the course of the year, you're 360% better than you were at the start of that year. Think about that. You're over 3 times more efficient, more productive, smarter, whatever it is, if you just make a 1% change for efficiency, productivity, whatever it is that you do, right? So you continually want to feed your 1%, right? Because if you want to make the 1%, what should you do in any business? Should you chase the business or should you attract the business? Attract it, right? So what we're talking about is plainly, simply attraction techniques, okay? Even if you're going in Follow-Up Boss and you're making a bunch of these calls, you're attracting the right client, because even out of 100 calls, if you land 2 or 3 of them a week, do you hit your goal of 5 to 10 closings per month? You do. How many people are making a minimum 100 calls per week? Anybody? Right? Okay, Mike. So Mike, as an example, first week in, right? What happened last night? What'd you do? Make an offer on something?
Yeah.
Tell me, what was it?
It's just a buyer, one of the buyers on the list there, just called
Yep.
them and they went to an open house just running out this last weekend.
Yeah.
And they walked into it and so did you get an offer going? No, but we'd like to. Okay, boom. Wrote an offer.
Bam. So he texted me last night. First of all, he beat me out of the office last night, which I had mixed feelings about. I was like, wait a minute. This is awesome, right? And then 2, he texted me and he's like, hey, I just got home, and he goes, hey, I'm writing an offer on one of the leads 6 months ago. They were out looking. Nobody ended up actually bringing them into the fold. I'm calling them. I'm just hearing them on the phone talk naturally to people and find out what they're looking for, not take necessarily no for an answer. He's turning no's into questions, and he's able to answer and provide value, right? So if it's, hey, you're looking, or hey, no, you're not interested in selling right now, he has some fun stuff that he goes, well, why not? You know, you could sell for top dollar. Are you happy where you're at? As an example, right? And then it gets them talking. So those are some of the things I'm going to talk about today. So bottom line, everybody wants to get more escrows because there are more agents, okay, and less deals. There's less listings. I mean, I have 4 or 5 active clients right now making offers. We're getting beat out consistently, right? Multiple offers. Now we are looking in LA. We are looking in places that are highly desirable, in price points that are highly desirable. So we have an uphill battle, but we have 3 or 4 right now that I'm like relentlessly trying to go after for each client to make sure I can get them matched made on one house. So you have less inventory, okay? Well-priced inventory selling higher typically, right? And then you also have less listings coming on the market. So everybody's having these conversations, or should be having these conversations that we're having, okay? And when we're having these conversations, more isn't better. You want to have people that you're aligned with, and you want to make sure that you're working deep in your business. So on our team specifically, we want to make sure that, you know, we're working to whatever your capacity is, but then we're also making sure that we're not missing a beat as well, because the reality of today's real estate market is your escrow is right around the corner. That conversion is right around the corner if you do the things that you need to do, okay? So I was going to tell you guys real quick that I'm going to look at my notes real quick here. So I was on a basically out of every day, even if I'm like crazy busy making huge pivots with the team, I try to learn between 30 minutes and probably an hour and a half, so 30 to 90 minutes a day on new techniques. I'm trying to educate myself. I'm trying to go in. I'm trying to learn new tactics. I'm trying to break it down for 2 reasons. One, if you don't do that, you're never really going to get better, okay? If you don't actually strive for education and strive to find out what people are doing in today's market to do it better, you're always going to have a high reluctance to change, right? It's just you're going to say, oh, I know the way to do it. The way that I do it is the way I do it. And then that's that. But the problem with that is when things change, you're not really going to be on the forefront of that change, right? So 30 to 90 minutes, I'm trying to do that. Over the weekend, I was able to spend about 90 minutes, and I jumped on one of my webinars. And the lady, she was top, basically producer of people like Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Russell Brunson, the guy that I was on, just multi-millionaire, came from nothing, and she runs the highest events. And she does it in all the countries, and she does an event every single day and 3 to 4 events for her company on every single weekend of the year. Is that nuts? And you're talking about like huge events. You're not talking about like, hey, I did a training, right? So what she said was there's 5 universal objections, no matter what country and no matter what industry. And I was like, tell me more, right? Because I knew at least 3 or 4 of them right off the bat. They're all the same, no matter what. So the easy ones, right? Time. Not the right time, you know, right? That's probably your biggest one right now. I'm gonna jam through these, and then we're gonna actually talk about them. Money, okay. Second, obviously, can't afford it, right? Don't want to do it. 3, your spouse or your partner. 4, you have some sort of a fear. There's a fear to change. People say like, hey, on the other side of fear is everything you've been wanting. That is so true, right? If you have that faith to say, look, whatever I'm going to do, I heard a quote this morning from Tony Robbins, and he goes, people don't make what they should or it was should or could make. They make what they have to make. And I'm like, ooh, that's pretty true. People make what they have to make, right? If you have a really big why, I come down the stairs this morning. My little daughter puts her new sundress on. She's got her little 4th of July glasses, and she's like, Dada. I put it on my story, right? Like, I got to go to work. I got to make this happen because that's my why, right? Like, I want to make sure that I can pay those bills. I can keep her in school. I can keep that food bill paid, and I can keep this thing running because I know what I have to do to make this work, right? So that fear, 4. And then 5, this one's a tricky one, and she brought it up. It's shame or self-doubt, okay? We all deal with some sort of self-doubt that you either don't think you're good enough to do it or you've just heard one too many no's, right? There's, one too many people that just say rates are high right now. There's just one too many people that say that, they could never buy a house in today's market, right? There's one too many people say that, well, what if I sell? Where would I go, right? So you have this like penetration from media for self-doubt. And so it's important to know that that exists, right? And so what you want to do is there's some takeaways that I said I want to make everything simple for you guys. So there's 3 words that she went through her presentation, and she said that it kind of resonated with me. Tell me more. Tell me more about that, right? If it's not the right time, tell me more, right? Is that if you want to know how to handle people's objections, you have to want to be able to help them, and you have to want to engage with that issue is, right? So for me, I'm a big statistics or fact guy in terms of I look at the market, right? If I look at the market and someone's like, hey, I don't know if my listing would sell right now. Well, I would look at the market and go, wow, there's nothing available like your house, or there's very few properties that are available right now, which is probably the case for most listings, right? There's just not a lot like them, right? You're not, the 10th one on the market. So one, that's like rare, and any seller should be like proud because number 2, those listings aren't sitting around very long, right? So you can step into your faith. You can step into your sales ability to know that if you get a hold of that product, that you're going to sell that product, right? Because you're going to put great pictures up. You're going to make sure the marketing's good. You're not going to skip any steps. You and I are going to talk about it. You know what you need to do, right? And then so you're going to go back to that seller and say, hey, well, these houses have all sold within 2 to 3 weeks. Some of them their first week. Now, some of the ones that sold the first week, they might have undersold. Because is everybody ready the first week it comes out? Or do we want to give it just a tiny bit of market time? And then we want to make sure that everybody gets to see it. And then we choose that offer. That's one of the things that I say because 1, it alleviates me having to sell it in the first week. And 2, like, this isn't like the supermarket. Like, I don't have to sell produce within the first week. If I do, that's amazing, right? But if my market statistics say 21 days on the market, I'm going to preface my seller to say, look, it's taking you 10 years to build equity, sometimes 20. You want to give that all up in 7 days? Or you want to give us at least a couple weeks to beat the market time and make sure that everybody sees that offer so the right person that closes that escrow is going to deserve that house, that's going to get through the inspection, going to get through the appraisal. Because anybody ever sell a quick escrow super fast, but then you run into problems with inspections, appraisals, right? And you know that you're like, oh, we could have talked about this just a tiny bit more before we went into escrow, right? Or maybe they got in escrow that first, second day and they just felt like, this is mine. And they didn't really have to work for it. And then so you didn't really prepare them for the escrow process, right? I know one right now we listed, they put an offer in on it. I let her wait a day or 2, so I had that open house. They ended up not moving forward. That's fine because I didn't want to go through an escrow and then cancel it. So it wasn't the right one. I was able to continue to move forward with that seller. And then we found another offer, right? So these objections, right? I was at Chuck E. Cheese with my kids over the weekend, okay? because we're enjoying the little things these days, right? It's time to work. It's time to get lean, right? So we were Chuck E. Cheese with the kids, right? So we were Chuck E. Cheese with the kids over the weekend, and they had new games they put up, at least since I went with them to Chuck E. Cheese. And some of those games that we played, it was they put the little ball in the little red Dixie cup, and then they moved that red cup around. And then you had to choose the next level, and then it just moved faster and faster, okay? That's what objections are, right? In what you're doing with your clients, is that it's the same 5 things, the same probably 3 things, because there's always 3 that dominate. It's usually time, usually money. A lot of people that say spouse or partner, it's like either A, that's probably one of the reasons why you need to sell, right? Quite frankly, right? Because there's a change in the status, or B, like you don't want to make a decision, so it's easy to say no, right? So indecision is still a decision. But if you're dealing with real estate, it's a crock pot, not a microwave. So you can't assume that every single person's going to be a microwavable lead that you're going to be able to pop right in and get that going. Some of them are going to be a little bit more nurturing status, and what you need to be doing is planting the seeds, right? So right now, if anybody in a market where time or money are less available, what do you want to do? Like just in your own head, what do you want to do to be more secure in your own head if time or money become less value, like scarce? Does anybody know what you want to do? Just instinctively.
Make more money.
Make more money, okay? Make more money, and then you want to make sure that you're actually protecting the money you have, right? So like $1 saved is $1 earned, right? When it becomes more scarce. So what do people want to do more, right? Because gone are the last 3 years when they check their home value and they're like, I'm a millionaire, but didn't do anything but spend money, right? Now they're going to check their equity and go, do I need to stay here or do I need to cash out and change my lifestyle? Is there something that needs to give, right? So what are they going to do more? Check their home value to see if A, they can secure it and make sure it's not going down, because maybe they're going to get that home equity line of credit. Maybe the bills are a little bit tighter and they got to, like, if you're getting the top 1% of realtors out there, like myself, all hands on deck working like it's gone out of style, that means that there's a lot of displaced people in this market that are having a tough time. And the more empathetic you are to helping their situations, the better you're going to be. Because now you saving them that dollar is just as effective as you making them that dollar. So by going in and creating reports or making sure, let's say if somebody is a prospective buyer that's going to look at a property, okay, and they've rented and they haven't bought, they're just looking for the time where they can enter the market to start earning their equity. And the more that you can give them a reason, 1% down program just came out. You can run 3% down all day long. I've had clients go to me say, oh, no. We're putting 10, 20% down just because we want an affordable payment. I'm like, hey, great choice if you're in the position to be able to do that, right? So now all of a sudden, I'm not selling them anything. I'm inviting them and I'm having discussions that are able to educate them. And those are the things that we should be doing in Follow Up Boss. And those are the things that I want to talk to you guys about, is because this is one of the coolest things. Everybody see my screen okay? Yeah. Okay, cool. Everybody able to go on ChatGPT? Everybody familiar with ChatGPT? Everybody been on it? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so ChatGPT. Let me see if I can move. How do I move this? All these things. There we go. So all I did before this meeting, okay, and by the way, like I present every week and I do education training, stuff like that. Never done that in my life, right? Started last week, okay? There's an AI program that automatically does presentations for you, right? Now, it doesn't come out the way my OCD self likes. It's getting better, right? But to see an AI program that you can put in, like, give me a topic on this, and it will spit out a presentation of which I could flow from that presentation. I'm like, this is really cool, right? Because now all of a sudden, like, I'm using technology. So all I did before this meeting is I said, real estate buyer intro script. I said, hi, seller's name. Oh, let's go this way. My name is blah, 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 real estate buyer interested in purchasing properties in the area. Hope you're doing well today. Wanted to reach out because I'm researching the local market, came across your property listing. As I must say, it caught my attention for several reasons, right? Reasons that attracted you. I'm currently blah, blah, blah. Even though this might not make sense to you on a specific property, does it get your brain turning a little bit? Yeah. Right? Does it get like, hey, I'm interested in your property. How are you? Right? You got to build some things that you can do to create rapport, right? What you're trying to do, the more naturally, one of the things that the lady said, the more you believe in your product, the more that you're going to get people to believe it themselves. The more that you are not a buyer and a seller of your own product, the harder it's going to be for you to sell it to others, right? But if you go like, hey, when I go look at a property, as an example, mission on paragraph 3 here, specific criteria, bedrooms, bathroom, location, size, amenities, etc., right? That's exactly what I do on any seller or any buyer. I'm looking for the top 2 to 3, right, most unique things that would attract that person. I was talking to Christy yesterday. We were looking at a buyer in Fontana. And there was 2 pool homes in all of Fontana that were listed on the market. That is it. Right? Whoa. So, as a buyer, you're like, hey, there's only 2. We got to be on these bad boys, right? And we should probably, is there any other city that you might want to look at adjacent? So all of a sudden, okay, everybody knows I do a lot and I'm moving like this. Bing, 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 bing. So I don't want to make things complicated and I don't want to read a lot. So what your art of communication should be, and do as I say, not as I do, right, is bring your point across in as little as time or words as possible, right? So what you're trying to do when you do that is you're attracting them with those amenities, and you're doing that so you can do what I call getting into flow, okay? Anybody get into flow or get into rhythm and then things seem so easy? It could be running, working out. It could be, that routine that you have, and then boom, you get out of that flow. You get out of that rhythm, and it's hard to get back in it, right? And so that's the kind of thing that you want to do in your week. I know when I'm working and I'm not prospecting, I know there's a part of me that it's just, if I'm in sales and I'm not prospecting, I'm not really in sales, right? And like, I can teach it and I can do it, but if I'm not actually doing it myself, like, there's a problem. And so I want to be doing it myself. So by creating that flow, you can go to ChatGPT, right? Does anybody have a scenario, anything that they have, is it a seller they want to talk about? Like, what would you want in terms of follow-up? Like you're going to, this week, you're going to send emails and texts out to people. What's something you would want to know? Anything?
Are they available for looking at property this weekend?
Okay. Best ways to see if a home buyer crazy, right? Yep. So here's 5 things right here that's just going to spark your brain, right? Direct communication, phone calls, text, emails, what you have in mind, pre-qualification process, online scheduling tools, available social media surgery. So give me, let's do one more. Let's see. So this is more our speed. So here's a script, and you can take away from this. You could also regenerate it. You could also have it change the prompts, okay? So people are like, does anybody know who Ricky Carruth is? Yeah. Ricky Carruth is a big, owns a bunch of doors, speaks a lot. He's like the cold calling machine, okay? He can pick up the phone. Hey, Lily, how are you today? I noticed he's calling off a book. You own 123 Main Street, this and this equity. He'll just start cold calling people and start gaining rapport. It's pretty cool the way he does it, right?
And you always ask about, oh, isn't it a beautiful day today? It's also about the weather.
Yeah, always. So there's always, like, everybody has their, like, go-to, right? Like my go-to, because I'm always extremely busy and I have a bunch of other things going on, is I go like, oh my God, I know you're super busy. I just wanted to make sure, bam, right? I know you got a ton going on. I always relate it probably to the day, but I'm like, hey, if we don't do it, we're not going to do it. We're not going to get it done, right? Like if we don't act on it and you don't, we don't plant that seed and talk about it, and I always try to leave them with more value. I never leave the conversation without one more follow-up I could do. One, it teaches and keeps me accountable. Two, it also gives us another step to go off of, okay? So, dear Sally, I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to inquire about the availability to see some potential homes. We have some exciting new properties that match your criteria, and I believe it could be an excellent fit for your needs, right? So you could start regenerating this. You could start using this. Hey, we're going to choose a smooth and successful, productive viewing experience. You could take little things, okay? And you can copy and paste. So I went on Ricky Carruth's webinar. It was like a little mini webinar. It wasn't a webinar. Let's call it like a drop page. And I went on his drop page because I wanted to prepare for this. And I got his scripts, okay? His scripts, I swear to you, were like, hi, it's Justin calling you on 123 Main Street. Let me know when a good time might be to show it. Or let me know when you're available to see it. Like, I mean, that was it. And he like hooked you in with these scripts. And then the scripts were like all over the place, right? So one was like a foreclosure, one was like a short sale, one was like, tenant, one was like homeowner. So here's the thing. I'm like a jack of all trades. I'm not good at anything, right? Because I'm not going to talk to all these different people. The market's specific right now. The market has high interest rates, low inventory. So how do I get good at selling homes, high interest rates, low inventory? Well, that's pretty easy because it's low inventory. Just got to do my job, right? If I'm there and I'm accountable. Now, how do you maximize your listing with low inventory? Ooh, now we're talking turkey. How do we market it? What programs are we using? Who's managing that lead flow to make sure that I don't have to educate someone when that listing lead comes through? Someone knows what to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then I can maximize it, and then I can double end it. And then what's my percentage that I could tell my next client that I either got a listing in the area because of my marketing efforts, or I sold our own properties, right? Or how many offers did I get? What's my highlight reel? So what are we doing on social media right now? Our girls, we got rid of external employees that are remote. Why? Because they're not in the trenches with us. They're not doing this every day. They're not seeing how the market is impacted every single day. So we're doing it cheaper, faster, and better. Why? Because we have to? No. Because we want to? No. It's because we have to now. Like that rainbow's gone, right? That honeypot is gone, right? It's like this market is like, you better figure it out, right? So why do we move and change brokerage platforms? Is because you can't do volume, deal with all of the problems you get from volume, and continue to be laser focused on production without tremendous amounts of waste, right? So plug into a system that allows you to have all that streamlined and get back to business. So now you're going to be looking at these prompts on day number 1 here to make sure that you're giving yourself an attempt so that now no one should not know how to follow up with a client. Agreed? You should be able to take market specifics, because the better your prompts for ChatGPT, the better your info. And then you don't have to take it all. You can take little bits and pieces. I never take it all. I take bits and pieces. I get my brain running, and I go back into what I'm doing. Okay, so if anybody wants to talk about this, then we talk about it. Okay. Getting into Follow Up Boss just for a minute, because we're going to save this. We're already kind of a little over what I wanted to talk about for you guys. I just wanted to give you the basis. Does it make sense? Are we tracking that it is now easy that you can spark a conversation with anybody and find, here's the 2 ways to manage, okay? You got to do it my way, right? How does everybody like that? Like my way or the highway? Is that super successful? Show of hands. Yeah, it's not really successful, right? Clients won't resonate with it. It's kind of the old school real estate or salesperson mentality, right? That boiler room, it works. Don't get me wrong. You will sell. But will you earn relationships that allow you to create bridges where no bridges were before? Probably not. Because you're looking at it transactionally, not relationally. Okay? Consequently, you look at it relationally. Are we perfect? No. Are your clients perfect? No. Is your effort perfect? Probably not. It could be. You could have a perfect effort, right? But chances are you're human and that you can't be perfect in terms of your effort. Your effort's going to run, sometimes you're going to be dialed in and things are going to work really well. Sometimes you're going to be off track a little bit. There's a lot going on in life and you got to do the best you can. So now, knowing relationally through your clients is going to help you in your follow-up, okay? Now, the name of the game right now, I'm going to go in through. So basically, if anybody's in the system right now, more is not more. What you can do should be maximized, okay? What you can do to get in flow should be maximized. We were talking about on one of the seminars is because before all this happened with the company, I was on track to writing my first book, okay? Now I'm living my first book, okay? So I'm going to get back to writing my book, okay, in the next 6 months, right? I'm going to say 90 days. I'm going to probably get on track with it. In the next 90, I'm going to probably start doing a chapter or 2 a month, right? So one of the things that they talked about was you save the hardest chapter for the end. You don't write chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. It's called linear. You don't write linearly. You write based on the ease and what comes naturally for you to be able to accomplish the task of writing a book because it's so hard to do, okay? So let's say you have 10 chapters. You can start at 7. If 7's the easiest one, knock it out. 3 and 4, knock them out. Now what did you do? You're building momentum, okay? The trick of life and people that are actually successful in replicating things over and over is they're finding hacks and ways to make their life gamified. They're not taking it too seriously because you're never going to actually convert. And the more that you're like this, the harder it's going to be to duplicate, right? Because it's like a relationship where you're like this. Right? Is it successful or is it a little on the smothering side? Right? Smothering, right? And so, I've been in a lot of love. I've been in a little love. I've never been in love in a relationship or not in love in a relationship. The more that you're like, I'm going to try to control, the harder it is to let it do its thing, right? The more that you're like, dude, this is amazing, but I can't control this. Like, this is like something that sales, I can't, this is like its own thing. Either you're ready or you're not ready or whatever it is. I have clients I've been talking to for a couple years. I've been clients I talked to for a month or two, and they're ready to go, right? So to me, all I can do is basically say, I want to be the resource. So why do I do social media? I want to be a resource, right? We had a couple agents come in, look at a big brokerage, right, locally. They ended up coming here, right? Because of you guys. Because it was one of the days everybody's here, we're in the office, we're present. I'm on social media, you're on social media, we're on social media together, we're doing things like this. There's an energy now. So now all of a sudden, you go from a relationship like a brokerage that's like, no, this is it, right? And you go to something a little bit more like this, right? And this, you're free to see what people will do when they can do whatever it is that they want to do. And I think that's the best telling thing. It's a free country. Let them do it, right? But for everybody that says, hey, how can I emulate this throughout my business? And then what happens when you're like this, secured in your relationship to be able to treat people where you can just have it like this, right? You're going to end up attracting more people, probably. Because they're going to go, wow, like, I see all these people that are like, and then over here, it's just a little bit different. Yeah, we still want to talk about providing value and educating and, making sure that we're working on actual production deals. But there's a different way to do it. So when you do Follow Up Boss, I would encourage you to look at this as digital doors, like I've talked about before. When you have digital doors, like if you go to a door, like anybody door knocked? Door knocked? Okay, do you like it? Yeah. Okay, tell me why you like it.
Well,
or do you prepare? Just give me like a.
I remember specific houses that ended up being fantastic deals. Just door knocking them, and it just came through. Plus, it's conversations. I like to be front to front, meet people that way, and so it fits my personality, and B, it's successful if you do it on a regular basis.
There you go. So great. I don't know if everybody could hear that, but Mike said. It's because it gives you a chance to have conversations, right? And that's literally what this is all about, right? Someone at some point in some way clicked for a real estate question. They want to sell their house, looking to buy a house. There's some inquiry going on at some point that you have a person looking to do something as it relates to real estate, right? So now it's up to you to have the conversation, right? So when you click on some of these, I'll give you an example because I was snooping today because I don't run a ton of action plans because you guys are running those action plans. And then once you have communication, which is the entire point, those action plans pause. But look, why does everybody love social media? Because you get to snoop around. Right? Because you get to snoop around, right? So either you post on it and you got to be, in the mix every day like I do. Like I want to be on it. Like I want you to know. I'll be like JT again, right? Like I looked at my feet. I'm like, I got to change my sweater, right? All my sweaters are like light gray. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like, do I have another color sweater, right? And so I'm like, how many other people are thinking about this right now? So I wore a dark sweater today, okay? And when we shoot today, because I'm going to be like, we're doing the dark sweater day. Okay? But part of it is because feel free to snoop around, right? Feel free to try to go help people and just have a purpose of it. Like snoop to have fun, right? So I was snooping this morning because I saw these new leads get loaded by another team. And I'm like, man, where are all these leads coming from, right? And they're just like a mass import, okay? And I'm like, oh, okay. But part of it was, as they said, 7 days of pain follow-up, right? And I got in at 8 o'clock. And I'm all like this. Just got my Starbucks. I'm all 7 days of pain. I'm like, what's going on here? Right? So I went through and it's like, call back in the evening twice. Call back again. Right? Trade email video. Did you get what I sent? Third time call. Follow up. 2 times task back. If no answer. Another video, third time calling, no voicemail, right? You guys get the idea. So you go in. We've helped 839 families. One of the here, they have an intro text that I looked, that it was like, talk about your culture at your company. And one of them was like, hey, I'm not here to bug you. I'm trying to provide information, this, that, the other. So why I wanted to show you this, and there's 25 action steps, okay? And there's different campaigns throughout Follow Up Boss. Why I wanted to show you guys this is because you can choose other campaigns, number one. Number two, you can start seeing what people are doing to the leads that are calling. This is what people are doing. They're hitting up with that kind of tenacity, okay? So when you look at it, there's two buckets, okay? There are the buckets of people that have came in that are getting that type of a response, okay? So simply, what am I doing today? I am not leaving any texts or any phone calls or any voicemails if I don't get a hold of them. I am getting a hold of them first. Exchange cell phones while you're here. Say, hey, Mike, can you call this guy? Winter and I haven't got a hold of a certain client. I've tried him a few times. We are going to rotate and have you guys try to call them today, right? And I'm just going to be like, Mike, just try him. Just be like, hey, it's Mike. I'm on the team. Something changed, right? What's going on? How can we help? Because we don't want to, A, spin our wheels. Number two, we're accountable to whatever that lead source is to make sure our database is managed properly. Number three, like, it's a contact sport. Like, if we're not trying to make contact and we're not trying to get through that barrier to communicate, you're one offer, $1 million offer away from someone that, how in the world, like, anybody go to Vegas and play roulette? Right? Okay, blackjack. So, you know roulette? Like, do you know that there's no indication at all when they show you that reel when it goes like red or black or green? Do you know that absolutely means nothing? Statistically, if I have a quarter and I flip that quarter and it's been tails 40 times, is it going to be heads? No, it's 50-50. It does not change. The statistic doesn't change. It's a quarter. There's only two options, right? So we get in our own heads mentally in a mindset that, oh, they got called X amount of times. Or, oh, they didn't do this, right? But me and Bijan talk, and they go, they don't even know you called 10 times. They don't, right? Especially if you rotate and change some of your numbers.
Yeah, every time I stop by my husband, I'm like, give me your phone, and I'm always switching phones.
Yeah, yep. And so you guys can do that in yourselves too. You can borrow my phone, right? I have two, right? Because what you're trying to do is just get that little like communication. It just takes that little bit, right? And then what you're doing in there is, here's how I do it, just because I need to stay on task. Because if I don't do it, I'll just like, I'll spend, too long on one lead, not long enough on another lead. So here's what I do as my hack. What I do is I go look for a buyer email that I like, a seller email that I like, and I tie them to be relevant to today's market or whatever my a certain area is right now, right? So as an example, if it's mid-June, right, gloomy outside, right, I'm going to take Mike and Ricky's weather thing. I'm going to go, man, I felt like there wasn't enough sunshine in the day today, so I wanted to send you an email. Right? Provide a little bit more sunshine to you with a little market report on how bright our market is today, right? Or this week, right? Fun little anecdote, has nothing really to do with anything, but hopefully it's like a polar bear. Does anybody know how much a polar bear weighs? Enough to break the ice. Let's go, right? So you're just trying to break the ice, right? So if you're trying to find something, a quote, something that like gives value to other people just because it lets them know where your mindset's at, right? If I'm always like, if you can come to me and I'm always energetic, you know, like not much gets me down. And if it doesn't get me down, it doesn't get me down for very long. And then you know I'm an absolute, like, I don't know, like workaholic in terms of like helping people around me and pouring into, because every day I want to wake up and I want to be like, did I do the most I could this day? I don't have to like move mountains, but did I give it my all? Can I come home to my family and go, I did my best effort and I got better? And if I can say yes to that, and if I can say, hey, I'm pouring into other people, or I'm keeping myself accountable, like I don't want to like do formal trainings and things like this because it takes me away from my production. At the same time, how many people could I help by some of the things that I do, even if it's just 1 or 2 things a week per hour? That could make a huge difference, especially if we do that for a year, right? And then now all of a sudden you don't need these things because it's ingrained in who you are. And then now you're able to run your own teams. What kind of impact could that have in another year, right? So those are the things that are going to start here. And I kind of wanted to, we can end with some Q&A. We're going to keep these trainings running 10:30. And then we're going to, basically what's going to happen is you have agents. Why I wanted to connect you into our network with our partners at Real is because Real does soaring trainings every Monday morning. I think it's 10 or 11, okay? And what that does, it gives you all the programs and insights to the soaring program. What I would look at for our partners at Real is that it's a change. I've been a boutique broker for 15 years. Like, this is gonna take time. It's gonna take time to truly get to know all the benefits of the ins and outs. I tried to even bring it up today, not enough time. And so Mondays, something you could always plug into. Tuesday's gonna be this. Wednesdays, Real has a brokerage meeting for all of California, okay? They go over what's happening in the market, lawsuits, changes, whatever topics are happening in the entire state, or specifically because a lot of Real is in Southern California, from San Diego to Orange County. And so they're in your market at a very, very high level, dealing with very sophisticated things, which, by the way, you guys don't have to worry about that much, but now you can educate your clients. So what I'm going to do on my social media with Cosette asks me all the time, hey, we're going to do some topics today. It's trending, taxes. I'm like this. I hate taxes. I don't want to talk about taxes, right? She's like, but it's trending. And it's like, it's good info. And I'm like, okay, we'll work it in, right? At some point. Why I suggest it is because if you go talk to the logical buyer or seller that cares, like I had one today, I actually fired it out to my CPA, about taxes, you're going to have a little bit more information. And I found myself connecting them and giving them tax advice about selling a second home, right? And so now I'm going, wow, I'm actually doing this with my clients right now, impacting a possible sale I could get in Anaheim Hills, right? And so by connecting you guys into that meeting, you're going to be able to take that into these clients as well. And then Thursday is going to be our boardroom. Friday, you guys are going to have off. It's game time. Friday night lights. Friday, Saturday, Sunday for your guys' showings and open houses and all that kind of good stuff. We are going to be putting a lot of emphasis back into Slack to make sure that everything's organized for you. We are taking over the social media, marketing, the flyers, the open houses, what else? Like it's market reports, all that kind of good stuff, right? Highlights. So we want to know your guys' successes is what I'm trying to say. Your escrows, when you guys are listing something, when you guys are selling something, we want to know with, put it in the stats channel in Slack, because what we want to do is we want to have the relationship with you guys. We don't want to just check MLS. We don't want to go, oh, hey, new listing. Like we want to celebrate and congratulate you guys. And we want to be able to have that where, I noticed some of the things that we did old school wise is we would tag you and we wouldn't even tag the right you, right? Like you wouldn't even be the person that was tagged on the thing, or the number would be wrong, right? And so I'm like, hey, it's cool that we did it. Like we look corporate, but like, are we really celebrating your new listing? Are we really bringing you in to make sure that maybe it's one less thing you have to do that day, right? And we're keeping you top of mind, right? And we're going to take that to a different level, but we want to have that stuff in the Slack channel. And then the Slack is going to be a lot more organized for us all. If you have anything, DM us at any point, and then just stay connected. Lily and the girls did connect Google Calendar to your Slack. So when you guys see it, and we're going to jump into Follow Up Boss more. Call out. You guys can always hit me up, especially if you guys want to do specific trainings on anything in particular. I don't know if this is good. There we go. I don't know if it's if you guys want training, I want to make it valuable to you guys, right? Because this to me is like, it's almost like another day at the office, and it's like the more that we do the basics well, you will be, I'm so confident when I tell you guys, you're going to make more money than you've ever made. Like you will make more money and you will close more deals than you've ever made. I've given up the entire control as a broker of Active Realty because I see the future and I have the vision of where this team is going to go. We are no longer going to be bogged down by administrative costs and worries and timelines. We're all going to be aligned on the best of the best. And we're going to plug into other people's networks on how to do it better. So I'm so focused on bringing a tremendous value and translating that to your paychecks. So much so, I gave up the way I pay rent here to real so that we can cap and begin to get back on track, right? So even with a small fee, we're going to drive down what we do in terms of our costs and drive up our value, but we got to do it together. So in Slack, you're going to have general pop off. Everything that's going to be in as it relates to real, like honestly, kid in a candy store, if you guys want to be knowing all things that are real. We're learning what we need to learn. We're getting in and out of it, and we're doing what we need to do. But us as a brokerage, we are like all hands on deck on production. So we're learning what we have to do, okay? So the TCs are going to be your best resource. And then as you get onboarded, things are pinned to the channel. So you have the right people. In the end of the day, we chose this company because they're super easy to talk to and they're super easy to work with, okay? When it comes to general or leads, you're going to see, and then a stats room. That's where you guys are going to post, whatever it is that you guys are moving or whatever it is that you guys are winning. So look at it like this. We're all on this stage together. The next person's coming up and we want to clap for that person. And then when it's your turn, you get on stage. And it's like, we're not going to sit there with a bunch of awards and have a bunch of costly stuff, but we do want to be like, yes, another listing. Let's go. Yes, another escrow. Boom, another offer out. Like, good.
You should get that little bell like Sally.
Yeah. Yep. We had one of those. We totally did. And then we'll have our stuff posted in social media so you guys can do that. And then you're going to see more of the other stuff like open houses and things like that come more prevalent. But get connected into your Slack. Have it on your phone. Make sure that you're using your Follow-Up Boss. Make sure your notifications are turned on. And then we'll run this thing back. Does anybody have any questions or anything that you guys want to go over in the last couple minutes? Anything? Anybody online?
Everything was good. Thanks, Justin.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you guys. Anybody here? Good? Okay, cool. All right, so we'll run it back. We'll keep the recording. Did you record this? Okay, so we're going to have all these recorded, and we're going to keep them for you guys. We're going to highlight them, put them somewhere. That way, if anybody has podcasts or anybody has things, what I do, another little tip that I do, I always listen to things, if I like them, at least twice. So I'll put on a training, I'll put on whatever it is, and I'll listen to it in the background. I could be working out, I could be driving on my way here, I could be driving on my way home. It could be me, actually, I know I'm going to be doing CMAs, and I play something in the background while I'm doing it. And so I'll do some of that just to get more acclimated. You guys could get in that kind of a process too, because the second or third time that you listen to it, guess how you are with it? Oh yeah, this is what it is. Because it's ingrained. Like you know it so well. You're not. What you're doing is it's unconscious learning, where you're not actually trying to remember it. Think of it tying your shoe. Okay. You want to get so good at sales or your job or whatever it is that you're doing that it's like tying your shoe. If a buyer or prospect calls you or you're trying to call them, you shouldn't be like, oh, how do I prepare for this one? Right? If you've done it 100 times every week for the last, 80 weeks, it's like, hey, I get another buyer opportunity. What do we get to talk about today? Right? Is it your sixth home that you're buying or is it your first home? And now we get to talk about specifics. Cool? So have a good day, guys. Appreciate you guys for coming on, and we'll see you Thursday.
Oh, I have a quick thing.
Yes.
Like, you know how because I love listening to webinars too, and it's
Yeah.
like just boom, boom, boom. Is there either like a Slack channel or something where when you hear something really good, you can like dump it that
I will make one for
it's
that.
like you're kind of like, oh, what webinar? And you kind of want something right then and there, and it's like, ooh, what's a good one?
I will create a motivation because for me that happens all the time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff I get connected to. I'm a part of a lot of things that I actually pay for that I've got to see if I can even find and put in the channel for you guys, and I'll do that a little regularly for you.
Because usually I'm, it's like, oh, I want something right then and there, and it's
Yeah.
like,